Hashem, we're doing Parashat Vaera. This week's Parasha starts exceptionally, right, with Hashem getting a little bit, talking harshly to Moshe Rabbeinu. Vaydaber Elohim el Moshe. Vayomer elav ani Adonai. He's speaking him with that adin. Elohim is midat adin, right? And he's telling him, Ani Hashem, right? You think I don't know what I'm doing. You think I'm maybe cruel to the community, the Jewish community, what's happening over there. You think I don't know what's happening over there, right? Why is all that, right? Because Rashi says, the first Rashi explains, Al sheksha ledaber velomar lama reot alam hazeh. Last week's parasha is finishing off when Hashem finally convinced Moshe Rabbeinu to go to Egypt and to save the Jewish community, right? And Moshe refused for 7 days, and at the end he agreed to go. So he's coming, he's talking to Paro, he's coming to the Jewish community, Vayamen Ha'am, everybody started to believe, everybody started to have hope. Mashiach is here, that's it, we're going to be redeemed. And then when Paro hears it, so he decides, oh, you have time to speak about liberation, you have time to think about all those things. So tichbad avodah nashim. It's going to be harder now. So till now, he gave them the bricks, and they just had to build. From now on, they're going to have to prepare the bricks and build and supply the same amount of bricks, right, and same amount of work they used to do till now. And unfortunately, they were not able to do that. And they suffered very much from this decree of Paro, right? And Moshe Rabbeinu, who couldn't stand that, right, he was very sensitive to what's happening to the Jews in Egypt, as we see that 60 years back, when he went out from the first time from the palace, from the royal palace, and he sees an Egyptian hitting a Jew, and he killed them, and he sees two Jews fighting, and he rebuked them, right? He couldn't stand that the people are suffering, right? And the Midrash adds to that he used to walk on the streets over there, and when he used to see Jews carrying rocks or whatever, hard charge on their backs, he used to come and cry with them, please let me help you. And he was a prince, right? So really it was bothering him. So over here, when the Paro says, oh, it's going to be worse now, they're going to have to supply the bricks and the buildings, everything. So Moshe Rabbeinu is speaking hard to Hashem. Lama reota? Why'd you do bad to this community, right? Not chas v'shalom that Moshe Rabbeinu, right, has disrespect. He's speaking out of emotion, right? But the only thing we have to understand, emotion or emotion, there's a way to speak to Hashem, right? There's ways to speak to Hashem. And because of that, right, there says the Midrash, Biksha midat adin lifgoa b'Moshe Rabbeinu. The Midas Adin wanted to hurt Moshe Rabbeinu and to punish him on the spot for saying that, but Hashem protected him because Hashem knew that he's saying it from his goodness of his heart. But still, that's not the way to speak to Hashem.
Midat Adin is גם Hashem, no?
No, Midat Adin is separate, right?
When
Hashem,
זה
malachim, it's angels, right? So Rashi brings down, right, that Hashem told them, I saved you, but you cannot get away with nothing. Therefore, Vayomer Adonai el Moshe, Ata tireh et asher e'aseh leParo. You're going to see now what I'm going to do to Paro. Now it's going to start, right? Now it's going to start coming down on Paro. But it's now. You're going to see now what's happening. But, says Rashi, in the name of the Midrash, you won't be able to see, right, later on, how they're coming into Israel. So basically, yes. Over here, he's telling him, doesn't have the rock. Hitting the rock is just a sovev. But basically, here is where Hashem decides Moshe Rabbeinu is not going to Israel. So he's telling him right away, you're going to see everything what's happening to Paro. You're going to see everything what's happening to them. You'll bring them till the entrance of Israel, but you cannot go into Israel. You cannot go into Israel. Now, after 40 years later, after he took them out, and they're asking for water, and he hit the rock, and instead of speaking out, that's only a reason to bring it through, right? But no, but he took them out. He was walking with them. He was bringing them. So now, how do you remind him that he's not going to Israel after 40 years? He hits the rock. You're not coming into Israel. But that's not. It was decided 40 years ago, back. B'kitzur, the way he spoke to Hashem, right, has to give some kind of a consequence for him, right? So, let's see in other places, right, other type of similar stories. The Gemara says in Ta'anit Yutet Ale Amud Aleph, the Gemara says there was a big tzaddik in the time of Tanaim called Choni HaMa'agal. Right? Choni HaMa'agal was a Rav that whenever they needed rain, they would come to him, right? And he would draw a circle, and he would sit in the circle, and he's telling Hashem, I'm not moving from here till you bring rain. And Hashem listened to him. Not only that if the rain was too little, he would say, no, this is not the rain I asked for. If the rain was too strong, it will cause a flood. No, this is not the rain. He would even set the amount of water coming down on earth, right? And the Gemara says, if somebody has such a koach,
Mo said that he was needed.
Yeah.
They wanted to put him in
They wanted, but they didn't. And the Gemara says, if he has such a koach, that shows that Hashem gave him one of his 3 keys. There's 3 keys that Hashem does not give to a malach, to an angel, right?
Oh, yes.
Right? So the Gemara says, giving birth is in the hands of Hashem, right? Tchias HaMeisim, a person is dead and he gets up. Who can do such a thing, right? How is Elisha Navi able to revive the son of the Shunamit, right? Biad Hashem. And then Mafteach HaGeshamim, also Geshamim, right? Is also in the hand of Hashem.
גשם זה גם פרנסה עליו? זה גם פרנסה עליו?
And Parnasa also. V'simanach Mafteach. The word Mafteach, which is a key in Hebrew, has all the 4 keys. Mafteach is Mem, is Mechayem Mitim, right? Pei, Parnasa. Taf is Tchiyat, so we're missing one.
לא, יש רק 3 מפתחות בידיים של השם.
Mem is rain, Mem is Maim, right? Maim is the water, is the rain, and Chet at the end is Chaya. Chaya is the lady giving birth.
כן.
But rain and Parnasa is the same key.
Yes, but it's 2 different keys. Rain gives Parnasa, but it's 2 different keys. So the Gemara is asking, but you see that Eliyahu Navi was able to bring rain, to stop the rain. You see Elisha Navi. So the Gemara says Hashem does not give all 3 keys to one shaliach, right? But He would give a key to very, very special people. Oh Hashem. Anyways, you see that if Choni HaMa'agal has the key of rain, he has to be something very special. Not any tzaddik in that generation had the zchut to have Mafteach HaGesham in his hand. But with all this said, Choni HaMa'agal once had a question on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What's the question? He read a pasuk in Tehillim. B'shuv Adonai Shevat Zion, Ayinu Kecholmim. When the Jews are going to come back from Babylon, it's going to be like a dream. Right? He said, when did the Jews come back from Babylon? 70 years. They went to exile. First exile was Babylon. They went 70 years and they came back. Those 70 years, says David HaMelech, was like a dream. Like you go to sleep at night, and just before you wake up in the morning, for a few minutes you see a dream. Those 70 years were like Chalom. Ayinu kecholmim, they were a dream. He asked, how is it possible that Hashem will make 70 years pass like a dream, like a few minutes? He couldn't understand. So basically he had a question on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because David HaMelech wrote it Beruach HaKodesh. So basically he's saying what Hashem is thinking, right? So Hashem told him, oh, you have questions on me? So I'm going to show you. He was going once on the street. He saw a boxer tree, charuv, it's charuv, right? He was tired. He went on top of one of the branches. He lies down to just take a small nap. He falls asleep. Hashem makes the whole tree full of leaves, full of boxers, right? And what happens now? he falls asleep for 70 years. For 70 years, he was sleeping there. When he gets up, right, everything changed. He couldn't even recognize the streets. The streets changed. The people changed, right? So as he was going this jeep, he told them where to go here, there. And they asked him, where are you? He says, Ani Choni HaMa'agal. He said, no, impossible. Choni HaMa'agal passed away 70 years ago. You cannot be one, the Choni HaMa'agal. No one wanted to believe him. So he said, what year are we? And they told him, they are 70 years later. He says, what? I was sleeping on this tree 70 years earlier, right? Because so no one wanted to believe him, he's Choni HaMa'agal. No one believed, no the family, no one. So he asked Hashem to die. Right? No, that's somebody else. So he asked Hashem to die. Why? So they say, you can ask questions on Hashem. What do you mean? If Hashem says 70 years can pass like a dream, like a few minutes, you don't ask Hashem how. Physically, right? Normally it cannot happen. But Hashem has no limits. Right? So because he asked a question on Hashem, this is what happened to him. Is he the only one? No. You can go back. Avraham Avinu. Right? Vayamen b'Hashem vayachshev lo tzedakah. Avraham had such a belief in Hashem. He was willing to go into fire for Hashem. Right? He went on Kivshan Esh, Nimrod. He asked him, do you believe in God? Do you believe in the idols? He says, no, Hashem. He says, but if you say that, I'm going to have to throw in the fire. He says, okay, I'm going to be throwing the fire. And Hashem saved him. He was going from city to city, telling everybody about Hashem. So he had perfect emunah in Hashem, right? And then he goes to war. Impossible to win. Against 4 kings, giant kings, powerful kings. They were winning already a previous war against 5 kings. So it's really no chance to win this war. No chance. Physically. Right? And his nephew was captured, so he promised him to go save him. So he says, okay, Hashem is with me. He goes to this war, and he wins. How did he win? So the Midrash says, he's taking sand, they are throwing arrows on him, he's taking sand, throwing on him, and this sand turns into arrows, doesn't miss anybody, kills all of them, brings back his nephew, and he wins the war. The thing is, as he coming back, he has like regrets. Why? Because those 4 kings and their soldiers were all the children of Shem. And basically he's from Shem. So basically he killed like cousins or far cousins, whatever, but it's the family. To the point that their father, Melchizedek, Melech Shalem, had to come out and bring wine and bread to Avraham Avinu and tell him, you did the right thing. They were wicked. They killed the 5 kings, they captured Lod, they captured Sodom. You did the right thing. So Melchizedek is telling him, I have nothing against you. Don't think that ever I'm going to think, you killed his grandchildren or something. I'm not holding grudge about you. You did what you had to do. You work with justice. And you had the right to do what you did. Then Hashem speaks to him. He says, Avraham, I have to tell you something. So before I tell you that, you're going to have to bring 3 sacrifices. קח לי עגלה משולשת, ועז משולשת, ותור וגוזל. Right? To bring certain sacrifices. Then all of a sudden the day becomes very dark. In the middle of the day it becomes very, very dark. Choshech, like darkness. And Avraham is in a state of nevuah. He falls he's like lying down. He has a nevuah. He's not circumcised yet, so Hashem doesn't speak to him directly yet. And Hashem is telling him, Avraham, Anochi magen lach. Don't worry about, I read your mind and I see that you're sorry about what happened with the kings, but you did the right thing. Anochi magen lach. I was protecting you in this war, and I was with you, right? Secharcha harbe meod. I have a lot of reward to give you for what you did. You basically burned all the Reshaim out of this world. You took all the wicked people from this world. And this is basically what a Jew is supposed to do, right? To bring justice to the world, right? And I can promise you one thing. Your children are going to marry to inherit this land. He was in Israel, Canaan, at that time. They're going to inherit this land, right? Comes Avraham Avinu, and he has a question, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bameh eda ki yirashena. Really? What? You're going to give my children this land? How do I know you're going to do that? Can you tell me a sign or something? So Hashem is telling him, what are you saying? You questioning me? Like, what, you think I'm not able to do that? Why are you questioning? Bameh, give me a sign. When they ask somebody, give me a sign, means I'm not sure it's going to happen. Right? So Hashem told him, you know what? Just because you said those 4 words, Bameh eda ki yirashena, each word is going to cost you 100 years of exile to your children. I was supposed to give them the land of Israel. They were supposed to be selling in it, living in it. But because of just what you asked, they're going to go to exile 400 years to, right? Be'eretz lo lahem. He didn't say Egypt or Israel. And then, Dor Revi'i, the 4th generation, is going to come back to Israel and settle in Israel. Right? You see that Avraham had such an emunah in Hashem. He's able to go into fire. He's able to put himself in a situation like fighting against kings that's no chance to win, right? Because you know, lo yirara ki ata imadi. Hashem, you're with me. I don't fear anybody. So emunah is 100%. But once you have a crack in your belief in Hashem, you have a question on Hashem, how are you going to do that? What? Really? You're going to give me, my children are going to have the land? How is it possible? So give me a sign. Show me how you're going to do it. What? You questioning me? Say Hashem? It's going to cost you 400 million. Which means a person can never ask questions. Right? Never ask questions. Not on Hashem. Right? And also in life, you're not asking questions. Don't ask questions in life. So I read, there was once a father, he had 2 boys. They lived in Israel. And every time the mother would tell one of the boys to do something, tell my brother, no, I'm busy, I cannot do that now. So one time he was going by, and he heard the mother said to one of the kids, please take down the garbage. Take down the garbage. So the little one said, oh, you're always telling me to take down the garbage. You never tell my brother. And you see I'm busy, I'm playing now. No, I cannot do it. And the other one says, no, she asked you, don't. And they start to fight. What did father do? He took both of them. Come. Sit on the table. I want to tell you something. I want to tell you something which is going to teach you the next time your mother asks you to do something, you're going to do right away. What did he tell them? He was a Holocaust survivor. This man was a Holocaust survivor. He was very young. He was like 10 years old by the Holocaust. Baruch Hashem, he was able to be saved. But he told these 2 children, I want to tell you a story that happened to him in the Holocaust. He said, they came one day to his town, and they came with 2 big trucks, and they picked up all the citizens. They took out everybody. They brought him to a place where there was 2 trains. One train was only for men. The other train for ladies and children. So right away the family was separated, right? He had a brother. So him and his brother, he was the older brother, 10 years old. His brother was 8 years old. They took him and his brother and his mother. They put them on one train. And the other train, they took the men. They right away understood the reason there was 2 trains, because the men are going to work in the concentration camp, and the ladies and the children, they were about to send to the gas chambers. Now there was policemen all over to make sure no one tries to escape, right? And they put him and his brother and his mother on top of the train, and they were bringing other people. All of a sudden, the mother realized that, like, they were allowed to bring some stuff with them. They were taking some jewelry, which the Germans, Machshavam, took after they took it away. So each one took something which was very valuable for him, and the father took his tefillin. But there was one bag, so he put it in the bag, and who had the bag? The mother. So the mother on the train says, wow, how is your father going to put tefillin every day? I have the tefillin. So she told him, this man, she told him, run to the other train and give the tefillin to your father. He says, there were policemen outside to make sure no one goes off the trains, no one tried to escape. If you try to escape, they kill you on the spot. But he said, I didn't tell my mother I'm scared, or I'm not going to do that. Send my brother. I took the tefillin, and right away I went off the train, tried to sneak, and I went to the other train without nobody noticing me, and I gave it the tefillin to my father. But the second I gave the bag to my father, the train started to move. They locked the doors, and the train started to move. The other train also moved. And what happened is his mother and his brother died in the gas chambers, and him and his father were sent to the concentration camps. So this father is telling his kids, if I would be like you guys, oh, tell my brother, no, it's too dangerous, I'm scared, I don't want to go there, right? I'll be dead today. I wouldn't be alive. So he told them, when your mother tells you to do something, don't start questioning and telling her, no, it's not for me, right? And that's the same thing in spiritual life. When Hashem is telling you to do something, you don't not necessarily you're going to be dead, but you're going to lose spiritually, right? Spiritually, you're going to lose. Like happened to Moshe Rabbeinu, he was not able to go to Israel later. Like happened to Avraham Avinu, his children had the foreign exile. Like happened to Choni HaMa'agal, he lost 70 years of his life, and he comes back and he wishes to die instead of living, right? You never question, you have to do. And that's, I think, it's connected to what happened to Am Yisrael in front of Har Sinai. Naaseh v'nishma. All the nations said, no, 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 right? Everybody says, Ma katuv ba? What is the Torah? What is entitled? What do you have to do? Ma katuv ba? What's written in it? What do you have to do for it? Right? And they lost. At the end, they lost. They lost the biggest present they ever can get. Am Yisrael didn't think twice. Am Yisrael said right away, Naaseh v'nishma. You don't ask question on God. If God comes himself, who came to give us the Torah? God himself, not an angel. It's not like Hashem, like it says Parashat Bezot HaBracha. Hashem is Sinai Ba. Hashem came himself, b'chvoido v'atzmo. He came with the Torah, and he proposed it to every nation. Do you want it? Ma katuv ba, ma katuv ba, ma katuv ba. No, 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 no. When he came to Am Yisrael, Naaseh v'nishma. Why? You don't ask questions on Hashem. When Hashem wants to give you something, to tell you something, to do something, you don't ask how. If Hashem tells you to do that, and he's addressing to you, he knows that you are able to carry the mission, and you are able to do that. Or bichlal, if you want to ask a question because you don't understand, you keep quiet. You'll see the outcome later on. You don't have to ask questions now. Later on, you'll see what's right. So, I think this is the lesson in the parasha, and we see it in one of the 7 plagues in this parasha, Makat Sfardim. The plague of frogs, right? When Hashem ordered the frogs to go all over Egypt, it's going to start in the royal palace. Rashi says, because Paro is the one saying no to send the Jews, it's going to start with him in the royal palace. From the royal palace, it's going out to the courtyards. From the courtyards, it's going to go to the city. From the city, it's going to go to the beds of people, in the water wells, everywhere, including the ovens, where they bake their breads, including the oven. When the frogs came out of the Nile to run, right? So Hashem started to say, in the royal palace, where did the frog run first? Not to the royal palace. They ran first to the ovens. They ran first to the ovens. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
There was one of you.
Right. And after there was no room in the ovens, what happened after 7 days? When Moshe Rabbeinu prays for Paro, all the frogs died, right? Vayasfu chomarim, they piled them up, they just threw them, right? They piled them up, they tried to get rid of them. But the only frogs stayed alive are the ones in the ovens with the fire. What's pshat? Because they said, if Hashem tells us to go in the ovens, also, each one said, but no one is going to want to go into the oven. So let me do what Hashem wants. So the first frogs that came out, they wanted to do Ratzon Hashem, even though to go into the oven. Yeah, but if Hashem says that, other people are not going to do that. Other frogs, let me run. But all of them wanted to do the same thing. All of them came out with the idea to run to the ovens first, because they didn't ask a question on Hashem. How are you going to go in the oven? This bread over there baking with fire. That moment that when they jumped in, there was still bread with fire inside. They didn't get burnt, and they didn't die at the end of 7 days. They continued living in the oven with fire. 7 days they were there, right? There's only one creature Rashi brings down, salamandra, right? Salamandra is a creature that if you put a fire in a place, in the same place, for 7 years, a creature comes out of the fire called salamandra. And the salamandra has blood that if you oint it on your body, you cannot get burnt. Those frogs were not salamandras, right? A frog's body, according to science, it's 80% to 90% water. Look when look when it gets smashed. When a frog gets smashed, what's left? A piece of paper. The whole frog becomes flat like a paper because its whole body is water. The frogs didn't ask questions. You don't ask questions, that's what's going to keep you alive. If you start asking Hashem, I'm going to go to the ovens, I can go to the palace, Hashem said, you don't ask, you go. Because they went, this is what saved their lives. So the key in life is what? Don't ask questions. Don't question Hashem. Na'aseh v'nishma, exactly. Do and you'll succeed. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen.